I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain.com, and this is my review and installation of the FOX 2.0 Performance Series IFP steering stabilizer, fitting all 1997 to 2006 TJs. Today we're going to talk through the installation of this steering stabilizer, which is a very simple 1 out of 3 wrench installation. You'll be able to get this bolted up to your Jeep in about an hour or less, but we'll talk more about the install in just a second. We're also going to talk through the construction and a few of the features of this steering stabilizer. Before purchasing a new steering stabilizer, or more accurately a new steering dampener, it's important to understand what this piece does. What a steering stabilizer or dampener is designed to do is to take the shock from hitting a bump on the road or on the trail that would normally be transferred up the steering linkage and into your steering wheel and dampen that down a little bit so you feel a little bit less of that vibration. That's all a steering stabilizer is designed to do. Now, if you have a wobble, certainly if you have death wobble, or if you have bump steer, you have other geometry issues going on in your steering linkage that need to be fixed. A new steering stabilizer, especially an expensive one like this, will only cover up those issues for a short period of time until you end up blowing out your new steering stabilizer and you still have the same problems. So, if you have a wobble or death wobble or bump steer, fix those problems. They are diagnosable and they are fixable. And then if you need a new steering stabilizer, go ahead and get one. Just because you've lifted your Jeep and or put large tires on it does not mean you need to spend a bunch of money on a new steering stabilizer. If you have a properly set up steering on your Jeep, a steering stabilizer is a luxury and not a necessity, and it's not something that needs to be upgraded with a lift or big heavy tires. It's also not something that you need to spend a ton of money on. For almost every application out there, an OEM steering stabilizer is going to be more than enough no matter what size tires or what size lift you have. So, if you are somebody who has a bent or broken steering stabilizer and you're looking to replace it, and you have FOX Performance 2.0 shocks on your Jeep and you want your steering stabilizer to match the rest of your shocks, then that's where this piece comes in. However, if you're just looking for something to function as your steering stabilizer, an inexpensive OEM or OEM style steering stabilizer is going to be more than enough. Now, as far as steering stabilizers are concerned, this one is built very well, but again, there are options out there that are still built well and are going to work, in my opinion, even better than this one, and they are going to be drastically less expensive, $100, $120 less than this steering stabilizer costs. Now, why is this one so expensive? Well, this is from FOX, which is a very well-known company who makes a really high-quality product. And if we were talking about shocks, I would be recommending FOX. I think they make a great product. However, for a steering stabilizer, this is absolutely overkill. Now, FOX does make a couple different series of their shocks, and this is the Performance series, which means the body of this steering stabilizer is going to be a 6061 T6 aluminum that's covered in a clear anodized finish. The shaft is going to be a steel alloy. This does have a Schrader valve on it so that you can adjust the nitrogen charge inside of it. It has really high quality bushings. This is a stabilizer that's going to last a long time. It's going to hold up really well. But the thing I don't like about this is that it is nitrogen charged. As you can see on the table here, this is completely extended, and if I were to compress the piston, it's going to want to work its way back out again, and that's because of the nitrogen charge. Now, if you picture where this goes on your Jeep, this is going to constantly be pushing your steering in one direction or the other. In this case, it'll be probably pushing your steering to the left all the time because of that nitrogen charge. A good steering stabilizer is simply a 50-50 valve hydraulic shock, not a nitrogen charged one. So again, I don't like this because it has the nitrogen charge in it. As far as the installation goes, as I mentioned before, a very simple 1 out of 3 wrench install in about an hour. All you'll need to do is unbolt your factory steering stabilizer from the drag link and from its mount on the axle and go ahead and reinstall your new one. Now, the factory stabilizer is a press fit or a taper fit into your drag link, so that can be a little bit difficult to remove. Now, hitting the drag link on the side is a good way to free up a taper fit. You can also try using a pitman arm puller or a ball joint press. There are a few different methods for trying to remove that factory stabilizer from your drag link. Of course, you do want to be careful. You don't want to heat it up. You don't want to bend the drag link. And you also don't want to flare the end of your factory stabilizer so much that it won't fit through the drag link. So you do want to be a little bit careful. Of course, spraying it with a good penetrating oil well before you get started will certainly help out. And once you do get that removed, again, it's very simple to bolt this one in place. You're not going to need any specialty tools, but do spray the factory stabilizer with a good penetrating oil well before you get started, and have your hand tools handy. As I said before, while this is a very well-built steering stabilizer, it, in my opinion, is overbuilt for what it needs to be, and it's also nitrogen charged, which adds to the cost, and is not only not necessary, but actually a detriment to a steering stabilizer. So if you're looking for a new steering stabilizer, because yours is bent or broken, I would recommend one that's more in the $50 range. This steering stabilizer is $150. I don't think it's necessarily not worth that cost because this does have the build quality. It is an aluminum alloy body. So I think that in some respects, it is deserving of a higher price tag. However, I don't think this is going to work as well as a less expensive steering stabilizer for most of you. This is really only going to be for those of you who have these Performance 2.0 shocks on your Jeep and you want a stabilizer that matches and you're okay having a lesser performance from it. So again, if you have these Fox shocks on your Jeep, you want a stabilizer that matches, this is going to be a good option for you. If not, and you just have a broken or bent steering stabilizer, there are far less expensive OEM or OEM style stabilizers that I would recommend over this one. So that's my review of the Fox 2.0 Performance Series IFP steering stabilizer fitting all 1997 to 2006 TJs that you can find right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.